99X in the Morning X. It's Barnes and Leslie. Divorce. Ooh, that word. Divorce. Sometimes you hear it, it just goes right through. Sometimes you're in the thick of it, so it means a lot. So that's why it's one of those evolving things, never goes away. We have Jarrod Oxendine on from Oxendine Law every, 6 weeks, 2 months, whatever. Just want to make sure people have their outlet if they need it. So please welcome Jarrod back. Hey, Jarrod.
Good morning, X. How we doing?
Doing good. OxLawFirm.com, of course. Jarrod, one of our fine advertisers. We like to keep you on the top in case people need it. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying. A lot of people know what you're saying. If you hadn't gone through it, you certainly know somebody that has. So that's why I'm here to help.
Oh, hold on. I just heard your assistant yelling, what was that, Ben Affleck on line 6? Is he checking in? You haven't heard from
right.
Have you heard from them yet?
Not yet. I'm waiting on the call. I don't know if they live in Georgia necessarily, but I'm waiting on that call.
Well, they did for a while. Remember they bought that place down in wherever the first time around. Down in
well, they need to call me.
Yes.
They need to call me. I'm here. Nobody better.
It's so funny. We always say this. You sound like a motivational speaker.
Totally.
Like Mr. Positive all the time. So, Jarrod, I do have a question for you.
Be.
I know you have to be a cheerleader. I know a lot of times they say before you seek an attorney, if you're going through a divorce, that you should put a checklist together just so that you're not forgetting anything. What do you think? What should be on that checklist?
Good question, Fram.
Yeah, the checklist is more for the client than is the attorney. I mean, if you're meeting with a good attorney, they're going to check all the boxes, right? They're going to cover all the information that needs to be covered and give you a clear roadmap on how you're getting started, what happens along the way, and how you get across the finish line. But, checklist questions would be, how long have you been practicing in this area of law? And these are questions about the attorney.
Oh.
Do you specialize in family law and divorce? Do you have a good relationship with the judges and a good working relationship with the other attorneys? So those are kind of like checklist questions for the attorney. As far as the case is concerned, some good questions are, what can I expect as far as this outcome is concerned? How does the process work? How long will it take? Obviously, how much is it going to cost? So there's a lot of different questions. You could probably put together maybe 100 different ones, but, I kind of have an outline in my head after doing this over 20 years of what I need to ask and what I need to cover. And by the end of every single meeting, these folks are so much happier when they leave my office, not necessarily because they're going through a divorce, but because they understand the process and they know what to expect when they leave my office.
Jarrod, I almost had to call you for real.
What?
I often will email myself in the subject line a reminder. So that's the way my inbox for me works is I'll send myself. See, my texts get lost.
Oh. Okay.
They start moving down, and I will email myself, and I'll leave it in my inbox. And I made the mistake last week, knowing you were coming on. I emailed myself, and in the subject, it just says divorce. When I was at home on my computer, and my screen is the size of a billboard, and so my emails were up. And Heather walked past me and said, "What's that?" And I said, "What's what?" She's like, "In your inbox, it says divorce." I'm like, "Oh, that's just I found a funny audio clip that I want to play when Jarrod Oxendine is on next week." She looked at me like, uh-huh. I'm like, no, for real.
Yeah, was she buying that?
Yeah, I'm sure she believed you 100%.
So you almost, you would have had to do that. Pro bono would have been, I would have been, because it was all your fault. What were you going to say?
I've got your back, Barnes. I've got your back.
Appreciate it.
You can just tell your wife that we've already had our confidential consultation, and I'm conflicted out from representing her, and I've got your back. But it's funny you say that because people put everything in writing these days, right? It's something I used to not have when I first started practicing law. We have text messages now. We've got emails. We got social media. And you'd be surprised how much wealth of information you can find in these things that we can now use in cases, So you have to be very careful what you put in writing, what you send to your email, what you text, what you put on social media, because when you go through a contested case, all that stuff's coming back to haunt you.
Oh, be careful of those text messages. You said something earlier about, with the questions and the checklist about, do you have a good relationship with the judges? Now, you're not allowed to send gifts to judges and things like that, right? To get on their better side. That's like a no-no, correct?
Yeah, so once a gift is over a certain amount, I think the judge has to report it. That's just kind of like the judicial canons of ethics require that. But, I typically get phone calls, and frankly, I get them quite frequently, from judges that are about to go through a campaign season. You know, they're running for re-election or they're running to get elected the first time. And so they reach out to lawyers they know and like, hey, you know, can you contribute to my campaign? And of course, I always do that. Now, that's not supposed to influence the judge's, you know, decision when I'm in front of them. But, you know, obviously judges are going to react better to lawyers that they have a relationship with and that they know and that they trust. So every time I have an opportunity to interact with, you know, judicial settings and judges and make contributions to their campaigns, I certainly do so. And I think it helps to do that. Not again because I'm getting a more favorable outcome, but hey, if there's a close call in a case and the lawyer knows the judge and the judge knows the lawyer and respects the lawyer, you know, you may get the extra benefit of the doubt there.
So if you're thinking about divorce, that's Jarrod Oxendine, who stays current.
What's a good gift though? Like a steak dinner or like?
What can you do without getting like blowback? Where they have to like
example.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so every Christmas, for example, I might send out, you know, some food, some snacks for the entire judge's office. You know, we'll send some baked goods that the entire office can share. You know, I might see judges out from time to time, you know, just by happenstance, run into them at a restaurant, and I may, you know, pick up the tab. I've gone to dinner with judges and stuff, and I've picked that up. But that doesn't really trigger any ethical concerns. I mean, what triggers an ethical concern is if you're making huge gifts, you know, to judges, and they're not putting it on the books or not disclosing it, or you do something, you know, aimed specifically at trying to influence a judge and a judge's decision, or you're having what's called ex parte conversations with the judge about a case without the other attorney present. That's a huge no-no. So you just can't cross those boundary lines. But look, at the end of the day, we all run in the same circles. You know, we're all in the practice of law, whether you got a robe on or whether you don't. And so we like to get along outside of these cases because can you imagine a world where you're just constantly in an adversarial nature with everybody that you run into, that you work with on a weekly basis? And if you're a judge, how miserable. You just have to sit in a room by yourself with a locked door and never talk to anybody. So it doesn't work that way.
Yeah, Barnes, have you gotten that goodie basket from Jarrod Oxendine yet?
No, but I drove past the courtroom. I got called for jury duty the other day, and there were 5 Cybertrucks parked outside. I'm assuming that he must have been handing those out. Just kidding. I didn't get picked.
Yeah, Barnes hasn't gotten the gift yet, I guess, because he's not wearing the black dress. You know, that's a funny thing. In some judges, the old school judges will call it not a robe, it's a black dress. I was in court one time with this old school judge, and the other party kept trying to interrupt the judge, and he slammed his gavel down on the table. He said, "Listen, you got to stop interrupting me. I'm the person sitting here wearing the black dress." And you saw tons of people kind of start to laugh underneath their hand because you don't hear it referred to as a black dress. You've got this mighty judge standing up, you know, pounding his gavel, talking about, "I'm the one wearing the black dress."
That's funny.
You know, which is kind of funny.
Man. All right, Jarrod Oxendine, if you need him, or when you need him, or if you need him, the stats say half of you might need him. Just look up oxlawfirm.com. And we'll end with the clip that got me in trouble. This is what I emailed myself because I thought it'd be funny to put a little button on the Oxendine segment. So don't email yourself and put divorce as the subject. No. Yes. Jarrod, thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Sounds great. See you next time.
A lot of my friends are divorced, and now they're dating again. And they're nervous because they've been married, so they haven't had sex in a long time. And so we were thinking about it, and I was like, there's a group of women, I was like, you know, sex is really like riding a bicycle. And then I thought, you know what, when I was younger, I feel like there were a lot more bicycles to choose from. You know what I mean? And like, you could take City Bike, but I'm not willing to pay for it. And then the older bikes, I'm worried that the seat isn't going to stay up or there'll be a flat tire. And because the handles, they used to be up here and now they're down by the side. And when I was a kid, there were bikes for girls and bikes for boys. Now everybody rides each other's bikes, which is fantastic. I'm totally for that. And then some of the bikes are made for 2, which I have no interest in. And but if I want to get to where I'm going, I'm going to take an electric bicycle. Anyway.
The Morning X with Barnes and Leslie.
You might be asking yourself, does it get worse? The answer is yes.
Weekdays 6 to 10, 99X.